Hi, I'm Larry Buxton, and this is Leading with Spirit, the Memorial Day edition. Welcome. You may know that I'm blessed to have a friendship with Ibrahim Anli, the executive director of the Rumi Forum, which is an interfaith group creating deeper understanding among Christians, Muslims, and Jews. In a recent conversation, he and I talked about the role King David plays in Islam, and Ibrahim offered me a provocative insight. In Islam, he said, David, or Dawood, is honored as living a balanced life. It was balanced because Dawood was a warrior by day and a priest by night. That is, his daytime work involved action leadership, focusing on the military power necessary to protect his people, and David's nighttime work involved prayerful leadership, focusing on the divine power necessary to protect his people. David lived as a man of war and a man of prayer, and the two were of equal importance, and this was David's balance. And I nodded. As a Christian, as a pastor, I welcomed the sound of that, the priority given to prayer, at least at first. And then I began thinking about it, and I've thought about it long enough that, with apologies to Ibrahim, it bothers me a great deal, and here's why. Like many Americans, many of you, I came of age during the Vietnam War era, and that formed in me a lifelong love-hate relationship with the military, both our own and other armed forces around the world. And during those years, I put in a lot of study, reflection, and prayer into my decision to file as a conscientious objector. Now, that filing became moot when it was clear I wouldn't be called in the draft, but my earliest reactions to giving equal time to God and warfare were pretty negative. But then, as I served churches over the years, I welcomed military families who were strong supporters of congregational life, who were generous givers and ready volunteers, and they were often quite devoted and prayerful people. And my old opinions about participating in institutions designed for war being incompatible with Christian faith were frequently tested. In short, emulating David and his balanced life has been for me not a balance, but a struggle. Balance implies a steady equilibrium, a fixed and stable relationship between war and prayer, one that David could maintain. And I can't. I struggle. And I know others do too. One of my fellow strugglers was the late Pastor David Edwards, and Front Edge Publishing is releasing his new book now, What Belongs to God: Reflections on Peacemaking by a Conscientious Objector. In his book, Reverend Edwards confesses, "My overall experience of serving churches as a minister who was a conscientious objector and who felt it important to speak about Jesus' life and teachings regarding violence was that the church simply did not talk about it. The church in our society was so thoroughly acculturated that the default position was always in favor of nationalism and militarism. There was a consistent concern," he went on, "that those who served be honored and recognized, yet there was no interest in doing the same for those who had chosen out of their commitment as followers of Jesus to serve the country and the world in other ways." That's quite an indictment, isn't it? How about for you? Do you have David's balance in your congregation? Do we seek out and listen to the nonviolent peacemakers as readily as we honor the warriors? And for that matter, how do we justify condemning this close mixture of military action and nationalism in other faiths and other countries and just ignore it in our own? Well, these are the sorts of questions that haunt me, especially on Memorial Day, as I gaze out on the rows of tombstones in nearby Arlington Cemetery. I begin to realize that that balance that can be impossible for us individually has to be found in our congregations, our churches, mosques, synagogues, and somehow in our national conversations too. That what we can't do individually, we can do communally. In our faith communities and throughout the nation, we have to make for balance by honoring both the warriors and the prayers, the military and the nonviolent. Every war has more casualties and more heroes than just the ones who wore the uniform. When we honor that on Memorial Day, we the people might just stand straighter and steadier than ever before. Thanks for joining me for this. I hope you'll explore more of LarryBuxton.com. Send this to a friend and have a good Memorial Day weekend. God bless you.